Okay, let's do some more integration. Okay, all right, I'm going to introduce integrating ease, but let's do one example using guess and differentiate. So what would we guess would be the kind of thing that when I differentiate it, I would get e to the power of 4x. Well, I know that e's stay as e's when I differentiate, so I'm just going to guess y equals e to the 4x. Okay, let's try differentiating my guess. So dy by dx would be, well, we know how to do this, okay, chain rule if you have to, or hopefully you've learned a rule that tells you this is e to the 4x, yes, but with a 4 in front of it. Okay, that comes if you do use the chain rule from differentiating this inside function. 4x differentiates to 4 and e to the bracket differentiates to e to the bracket. Okay, so did my guess work? Well, kind of. I wanted to get e to the 4x. I've got 4e to the 4x, so my corrected y. So how do I have to change this so I don't get that 4? Well, the answer is I need to put a quarter in front of it to counteract the 4 that's going to pop out. And that's the answer to my integral, a quarter e to the 4x plus c. But we can relate this to the other thing we were doing, because what we've got here, let's put the brackets on. So I'm integrating something acting on a linear bracket. In this case, it's e to the power of a linear bracket. And e to the x, I know that e to the x is unchanged by differentiation, so it's unchanged by integration. So e to the x integrates to e to the x. So e to the bracket integrates to e to the bracket, linear bracket, so I have to divide by the thing in front of the x. That's exactly what was happening to us on ones like this, where I had a linear bracket to a power. I did the normal thing with the power, but I put 1 over the number in front of x in front. That works whenever the bracket is linear. If we had an x squared inside that, then that would be a very different thing to do. That would be a much, much harder integral, and this rule would not work. Okay, so on to part B. So I can see I've got a linear bracket inside e. So e to the x integrates to e to the x. So e to the bracket would integrate to something like e to the bracket, and there's a 2 in front, so that's going to be unchanged. But the bracket contains 5x plus 6, and there is a number in front of the x, 5. So therefore, I need to multiply by a fifth. So the answer is 2/5 of e to the power 5x plus 6. Mustn't forget my plus c. I can put equals there. I can put equals there. That is my answer. Okay. So on to the next one. All right. Oh, I've got a 1 over going on here. In fact, I've got to be a little bit careful with this. Okay. I've got 1 over 3e to the 2x. So this is very much like what you did in core 2. We have to be careful with what we do with that 3. Okay, the e to the 2x on the bottom is going to be a negative power. But before I get to that bit, I need to split this into a fraction with numbers, 1 over 3, times a fraction with x's, which is going to be 1 over e to the 2x dx. And that enables me to deal with that 1/3 correctly. Okay, so I haven't done any integration yet. I'm going to write this using a negative power of e, so that's going to be e to the power of minus 2x to cause the 1 overness. I'm going to have a 1/3 in front of it, and I've got to integrate that with respect to x. Okay, now it's written in a form that I can hope to integrate it correctly. So e to the something will integrate to e to the something, but the something is a linear bracket. Okay, has to be, otherwise this rule won't work. So I'll get e to the power of the same linear bracket, but the number in front of x minus 2, as well as the third that's already there, I'm going to have a minus a half popping out in front of that. So my answer, I need a plus c on the end of that, my answer is minus 1/6 e to the power of minus 2x plus c. And that's, there we go, and that's that one finished. Okay, one more to do. Oh, this one's got limits on as well. Okay, similar trick to start off with though to last time. Okay, I've got a power of e, but it's mixed up with numbers. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to separate this into a fraction with numbers, which is a half, times a fraction with x's, which is 1 over the power of e. Okay, so I'm doing the integral of a half. What's this? It's e to the power of, because it's 1 over minus the bracket of 4x minus 1 dx. Okay, well, let's simplify that a stage further. A half e to the brackets of minus 4x plus 1, because I want the simplest possible linear bracket, so I can use my linear bracket rule. So e to the power of something will integrate to e to the power of the same something. There was a half in front anyway, but in the bracket it is linear, so the rule will work, but the bracket has a -4 in front of the x, so I need to put a -1/4 in front of my answer. I want a plus c on the end, so the final answer is -1/8 e to the power of -4x plus 1 with a plus c on the end. And I've done.